Everybody, back for another episode. We are back on the truck, and it is time to make some strides on this thing. It is engine time, and I am looking forward to it. So let's take a look at what we got and see how far we can get.
No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
Okay, I'm sure everybody remembers this. We put this together several months ago. I think there's like 3 episodes on it if you want to check it out. Just to pick up where we left off in here, got this all clear coated. She's looking good. I put 3 coats in here, something like that. The dash is all clear coated. It's looking good. There's top of the dash over there. But part of the big news is Betsy over there is officially retired. She's been a good steed, done a lot of hauling for me, but it's come to the point where one must die so others may live. So a lot of Betsy is going to go into, I don't know what to call this thing. I don't have a name for it. Or somebody online had a name. What they call living on a prayer. Okay, we'll go with that. Betsy is going to donate some of her life forces to living on a prayer. So we're going to be taking transmission, wiring harness, brakes, shocks, fuel tank, all kinds of stuff out of this thing. And I don't know, maybe we'll build another one after that. No, not really. But anyway, that's the deal with that. So what we got to do first here is cleaned up the shop, and I have to get. Let me get my stand here a second for it. What do I do with my camera stand? Probably ran over the thing when I drove in here. Well, anyway, in this box is one of those. Hold on a second. Okay, had to unbox. So what we got here is a universal small block Chevy cross member, universal transmission cross member, which I didn't even know that was in the box. I thought I just bought that. And then over here we've got the old factory mounts. So we're going to make this work. You can't really buy a universal mount for an inline 6, but we got to figure a couple things out, because here's the deal on 292s. On your regular Chevy straight 6, here is your driver's side motor mount. It's kind of midway down here. Now on the 230, 194, 250, the mount is directly across from it and the fuel pump is here. But for some reason on the 292, they switched them. The mount is here, the fuel pump is here. So the mount is not directly across from each other. So I think we're going to try to get it like up in here. Ooh, that's heavy. It's the old elbow. But we'll fabricate a mount here to work on there. And then over here, maybe we'll just make a plate that bolts on here and goes over to here and then puts the mount there. Because I want to get the cross member up in the shallower part of the pan. I think. Let's see what we got in here for frame rail. Oh yeah. It really doesn't matter where we put it front to back. We're gonna get it in there and make it work. So anyway, that's the goal. So for this video, let's see if we can get this made. And I also want to kind of we'll take a sort of measurement you know, from the wall there forward to where this is, get a measurement on the width of the frame, and then make sure this is going to fit. But I think this is going to fit. This is the widest one they had. I think it's a 36 or 38, and then you got a little extra room on the doodads there. Okay, enough talking. Let's get to grinding and welding. Morning, everybody. So, man, it is cold out. We've been in the 50s and 60s here, and it's like 22 this morning. And we actually got some snow yesterday, which is really crazy. But old Betsy's sitting here, melting off the snow, thinking, it was so nice of you to let me sleep inside the garage last night where it's warm. And I'm thinking, man, baby, you don't know what's coming. But it'll be appreciated. Anyway, so kind of backing up plans here. I was gonna try to make this cross member fit the engine first. I think that's the wrong way to go, because I remember I did a 62 Ford Econoline van years ago, put a small block Chevy and a 700 R4 in it, and I fitted that to the engine first, and that was the wrong way to go. I need to get the engine and the transmission in here kind of on blocks where it's going to be lined up, angled, and then build the mounts around that. So that's what we're going to do. So anyway, I measured from the back forward, from the back of the engine to this motor mount to the other motor mount is like 22 inches. Added a few inches for the slope and the bell housing, so let's say 25 inches. That puts us right where that frame curves. So we're gonna have to build some odd looking, or we're gonna have to build some angled motor mount pads for that thing. So I don't have the transmission out of the other van yet, so what we're gonna do is I've got a 3-speed back here, old Saginaw. We're just gonna throw the bell housing and the 3-speed on that, no flywheel or nothing, just for a mock-up. So I've got slope of the bell housing, and I've got a transmission on it, even though it's not going to be the right length. But to build around that, and then we can measure that transmission back to the tail shaft mount and kind of get an idea where the mount's going to go. So first thing I want to do, I got to dig out my cherry picker. I got to dig out the bell housing and the transmission, get it on here, get a chain on here, and we're going to go in this door, get it set in there, and like I said, just kind of get this thing set up on blocks and jacks and take some angles. I've got an angle finder over there somewhere. I want to get it matched up to where it's going to line up with that rear end, and then once we got that done and steady, then we're going to go from there on building mounts. So let me get all that done, and then we'll get it slid in here. Okay, so I got a couple of bolts in the trans, a couple of bolts in the bell housing. I went ahead and took this wheel off over here because I remember pulling the engine out of this when it was a van to get. We went out the. We go out the door. Yeah, we went out the door, and I think I had to take the wheel off to get the cherry picker in there. So we got a jack stand under there. So, all right, let me set the camera up, and we're gonna see if we can make this thing work. Okay, so that's a good start. It's pretty close to where I want to be. I wouldn't mind going back some more. I think I can go back a couple more inches. I might have to reposition this cherry picker again. But so I've got this hole is the center of the cross member. I do want the crank bolt lined up at the center of that. Let's take a look where we are underneath. All right. So there's pinion, and there's the tranny. I mean, they're pretty darn close. I gotta look this way. I do want this centered in that little hoop up there, and but the height looks good, and my angles look good from what I can see. I'll have to check it with an angle gauge before we actually build a cross member for that thing, but yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, let me get a ratchet strap and see if I can ratchet strap this engine over to where it'll sit up a little more, not looking so much like a slant six. And we'll do that, and then we're going to get this centered, and then we're going to start looking at that cross member and how that's going to go. So, all right, back in just a few. Okay, so that is much better. So you can see I got the crank bolt lined up with that center bolt. I got just a little bit of a lean to it because with this wheel off, this thing's leaning a little bit. So I put a straight edge across there, put a level on it, look where the bubble was, and kind of match the bubble on the valve cover so when we get the side back up, it should be pretty good. And then I got plenty of room back there, so that's good. Want to leave some room back there, and I'm plenty far back here, so you know, radiator will be here somewhere, and then we'll have this space up front. You could darn near put a bench seat in the thing, but we're not going to do that. We're going to put the buckets in there, and then we're centered back here on that, and we are lined up good there. So okay, so I am going to go with that for the motor mounts, and I'll leave a little bit of, I'm not going to put them so tight you can't adjust them, so if we do need to raise this up a little bit, but I don't think we do. I think we're good, but we'll have to check that angle. So okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to get down in there and let's see where this cross member is going to end up and what we got to do to make brackets for it. Okay, so let me show you where we're at. I let the engine down a little bit more because it had too much of a rake on it, and I really didn't want that. So it's still got a little bit, but this thing's kind of high in the back, so yeah, well, I can do a little more rake, so when it's high in the back, when we lower this thing down, it might get a little more rake to it, but I kind of like it there. And I'm good and centered up here, and I'm good and centered in the transmission tunnel. So let me show you what we're doing here. See if I can, this is really hard to film under the car, so let's show you what's going on. Okay, so I wanted the center of this motor mount, that center bolt, to be the center of the tube cross member. So I put a a square on there. I made this mark, and then this, so the center of that mark should go there. That's going to put it right there, which is fine. So I got to make a little wedge for the back here to weld in there, and I did that. I got to cut a little more off it, but we're gonna, this is some square tubing I had, so we'll weld that on there, and we'll make a gusset on the bottom. I think that's going to be good. And then let's see if I can lift this and hold the camera at the same time. I think we've got enough room get under the car camera stand. A second. All right. So, just turn this sideways. Sorry about the shaking. But we've got enough room under the oil pan, and this will be mostly on the frame. It's going to be down just a little bit, so anyway, I think that'll work. And we'll weld the sides, weld the top, and I'll get a little piece of L bracket to do on the bottom to weld that. So I think that's gonna work. I know that's probably hard to see under here, but I don't have a little short camera stand, or if I do, I don't know where it's at. So once we got that, then we can build the bracket, the motor mount we'll make a plate here with those 3 holes, and we'll build off here to that and just make it a slide-in bolt mount, and we'll do the same on the other side. Whew, that's a lot of work and a lot of talking. So I need to trim this guy down a little bit. Let me take a little more off that, because that's not quite flat. And get that back down a little bit. Let me get that on there. We'll get that welded on there, and then we're going to check the other side and see where we got to be over there. Do the same thing over there. So, all right. I hope that makes sense. Back in a few. Okay, so here's what we ended up with. I ended up having to. This ended up lower than what I thought. I thought we was going to end up on the frame, but had to get good clearance on the oil pan, so we got that. And I just took a piece of square tubing. I think that's 1/8 wall, and we notched it back here, and then notched it more on the front, so it was on an angle. And then I got this tacked in. We got the cross member tacked to this. This is not welded yet, so we can kind of move this where we want it. And I've got the same on the other side. Let's see it over there. So it looks like that's going to work good. Now, what I need to do is build mounts coming off of these mounts down to here. And I was just going to bolt this cross member in, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to weld it. If this thing would ever end up with a small block in it, I mean, that's a small block mount, but I'm sure it's, as long as I own it, it's probably going to stay like this with 6 in it. So, but who knows what the next guy will do. So, okay, let me get some cardboard tent, and you know, I think I could go down a little bit more, which I might do that. Yeah, we'll see. I ended up coming up a little bit because I was actually really low. Okay, let me get this mount built. We'll build it out of cardboard, then we'll make it out of steel, and see what we got. Okay, so I've got these old motor mounts here that I honestly don't remember what they came from. I think they're from a. If you look back at my opening, my opening regular video thing on my videos, there's a 58 Dodge truck there, and I front clipped that thing with the front frame clip of a Dodge Dakota, and I think these were the motor mounts that were on the 3.8 on the Dakota. So, but these holes line up. So I think we're going to cut a plate out of this, and then I may be able to use these sections here and just re-weld them and have it sit right on that mount. So let's try this out, see what we got. Okay, so I've got this plate on here. So now we just need a plate from there to there. Shouldn't be a big deal. And then over here, we're gonna do it a little bit different. I used the factory mount over here. And the reason I did, because that top bolt sits in back further than that bottom bolt, the bottom bolts. So that mount has a curve to it. And it's like, well, I might as well just use it. We'll make a plate over across here and a couple of dog ears down, and we'll bolt to that. And that should hold that. So let me go ahead and tell you what, let's do this side first, get it tacked into place. And I don't know if you saw when I cut that apart, that was actually double layer. And I was thinking, should I go ahead and use 2 layers? And I thought, well, why not? They made it that way, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it that way. So yeah, let's see if I might try to cut these ears off of here. Cut these ears off of this mount and see, can we make them work? That might be the key to doing it right there. So let me cut them off. We'll see what we got and we'll take a look. Okay, there we go. So we got that mount built. Got a little paint on her, and made one over here. I just used a piece of heavy wall square tubing and a couple of tabs off of an old spring shackle. So it kind of made it like the old Plymouth alternator brackets. So, and used the original mount on that, so that's not going anywhere. I got good clearance down on the oil pan on both sides. I'm centered in the middle like I want to be. And I've got good pitch on the motor. So, I think we did good. Next video will be, we're going to make transmission mount and get it in there. Yeah, maybe. I probably want to get the transmission out of this and get it in there before I actually make the transmission mount. So maybe next video we'll stick the dash and stuff back in here. I'm not sure yet. We're going to do something. But okay, so I'm going to throw a jack stand under the back of this. We're going to be done with this for today. And we'll go inside, get a word from the Lord, and that'll be it. So thanks for following along. Everybody, thanks for coming along on the video today. And I think we got a pretty nice chunk done out there. So it feels good to be sitting in that, seeing that motor sitting in there, and to see it sitting in there suspended by itself, not hanging from a cherry picker. So I feel like that's a good step in the right direction. So I'll have to figure out where to go next. But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit on the message today about something I was reading in my daily devotion a couple of days ago. And that really struck me as something I had never thought of and didn't understand some points of this. But how should a Christian relate to those in non-Christian movements and religions? So if we're witnessing to these people, how do we talk to them? And it says, as we witness to these non-Christian religions, we must guard against a formulaic approach which would treat them as if they're all cut from the same cloth, because we can't do that, because there's a lot of differences in other religions. At the same time, we must not ignore the commonalities underlying religious allegiance, whether Christian or not. So long as we are appropriately sensitive to individual differences, we can identify some helpful strategies for winning adherents of non-Christian religious faiths. And we need to be sensitive to other people's beliefs. We don't want to be insulting. We want to be, we want to know what we're talking about, is another good point. So we address the personal motivations underlying religious commitment. Often people commit to a religion in order to meet personal needs. In new religious manifestations, that's kind of the focus. Everything is focused on self. You know, we're looking for to address intellectual, emotional, social, and spiritual needs. People are looking for loving relationships and a sense of connectedness, a family atmosphere, a sense of self-acceptance, and a sense of self-worth. So these aspirations are hardly unique to members in false religions, nor is there anything necessarily sinister in the fact that people want to have and meet to seek these needs. Many people have become involved in biblically based Christian churches for the same reasons. We are looking for some of those things, but one of the most important things we can do when we're reaching out to those ensnared in false religions is to provide an environment where the spiritual, social, emotional, and intellectual needs can be met. So, very important. The church should and generally does not provide such should and generally does provide that environment anyway, but for those emerging from false religions, the need especially acute. So the next thing we have to do is we have to properly classify, understand, and refute the false belief system. Now this is where the part that got me, understanding false belief systems. I feel like I understand my faith, the Christian faith, pretty good, but there's a lot of faiths I don't know a lot about and don't understand. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Christian Scientists are such examples. I really don't understand those. I need to be able to witness to those people. Then world religions such as Islam, that they deny the core Christian beliefs. When you look at that Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, they do believe in Jesus, but they also believe that Joseph Smith is a prophet, which is not true. But unlike new religious movements of Christianity, world religions do not claim to be Christian, and in fact would explicitly repudiate such a label. The distinctions between religious movements dependent upon Christianity and world religions is not merely academic. We would approach a Mormon differently than we would a Muslim. For example, one does not have to convince a Mormon that Jesus Christ is a Savior and that Christianity is true because the Mormon already believes that. But he also believes that his church is a true restoration of Christianity under Joseph Smith. So the task to show that Mormonism is a counterfeit form of Christianity with a false Jesus who cannot save. But a Muslim, on the other hand, will not only have faulty views of what Christianity teaches, but also need to be convinced that Christianity is the true religion. We must also understand the non-Christian belief system we're confronting as accurately and as much detail that is practicable. So that's the thing I was talking about. For me to witness to these people, I need to do some studying and understand a little more about these other belief systems. And I'm sure there's people out there watching this video who are kind of in the same boat. You're saved. There's no doubt in your mind of who Jesus is and that your salvation is secure. But if you were to talk to a Muslim, could you understand enough about their faith to be able to communicate with them and to be able to witness and show them why Jesus is the way and the truth and the life? So it says, only then can we hope to be taken seriously as we confront the errors of false religion with the claims of Jesus Christ. If we don't know what we're talking about, they're not going to take us seriously, and the witness opportunity may be ruined. So it's a tough ask, and something I definitely need to do to study some of these other religions, so that if God would call me to witness to one of these people, that I can at least have a good basic working knowledge of what they do believe. So anyway, hope that wasn't too long and drawn out, and I hope I wasn't too cloudy on it, but when I read that, I really thought it was good and wanted to share that. So anyway, let's have a quick word of prayer and we'll be out of here. Father, I just thank you for everybody watching this video today, and I just thank you for this opportunity to minister that you've given me. And Father, as we go forward, if you have that opportunity on the horizon for us, where we're going to witness to someone of another belief system, that you would give us give us the drive and encourage us to learn about these other people, and so we can approach them in an intelligent way, and that we would be able to be useful to you in spreading your word. And we ask this in the name of your precious Son, Jesus. Amen. All right, hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment. Thank you for coming along. My pastor, Brother Matt, just had a hip replacement. Pray for him if you would while he gets healed up. And I will catch you on the next one.